Welcome back to another warm and windy June 5th. There is still no rain. The forecast for the weekend basically turned out the same as all the forecasts have for the last several weeks, and we got nothing, not even a few drops. So it's remarkable out here that the crops are doing as well as they are. This barley really is looking pretty good considering it hasn't had rain for over a month. We're into stem elongation here now. Our weeds are for the most part under control. Grasshoppers are under control. But you can see that we have a couple of plugged runs in this field where some hoses got plugged. So that is always a fun thing when it's somewhere your neighbors can see it when they drive down the road. Checking out a sandy eroded patch of canola, and what do I happen to find? Another arrowhead. This one, I'm not sure what this design is called, but it looks older than some of the other ones I've seen. It doesn't seem to have a, I don't know what you'd say, a notched base. So kind of cool to see. Send it off to my archaeologist friend. Here's an interesting one for you. This patch of peas in this garden was sprayed with Viper at a 33x rate. So it was calculated out at 33-ish acres, and only 0.85 acres was sprayed. You can see definitely some of these peas are pretty much totally toast. But then even on the next row over, you see that we actually have some new growth. This has been sprayed about 5 days ago now. So you can still see we've got some pretty good weed control in here, but some of these peas are probably going to come back. You know, it's absolutely amazing to me that after a month with no rain, we still have kochia that is somehow still managing to germinate out here. Well, now that a lot of the barley's been sprayed, it is the time for wheat to have its turn. So this particular wheat field is just pretty much hitting 4-leaf stage, and it is pretty drought stressed, but it's looking about as good as you could expect. In this field, there is some small kochia here and there, as well as quite a bit of Russian thistle, some dandelions, a few sow thistles, a couple Canadian thistles, kind of the whole spectrum of weeds. So we're going to be coming in here with some simplicity and barricade basically. So it's going to be the CS 100 2525 plus perimeter, and then we're going to top that up with a little bit of 2,4-D because a lot of these weeds are starting to get pretty drought hardened off. So that little bit of extra 2,4-D is going to help with control some of these harder to kill weeds like this buckwheat over here. With no rainfall for the last few weeks, some of the pastures are starting to really look worse for wear. Lots of guys are starting to run out of feed already, so it's going to be interesting. A lot of these native prairie grasses, if they don't get the moisture, they go dormant and they just turn brown until they do get the moisture they need. All these little grasshoppers sure ain't helping the rangeland either. Along the edge of this Durham field, the grasshoppers are having a good snack over here. You can see the rest of the field looks really nice, but over here we got some really dry, burned out pasture with some hungry looking cows in there. And over here, you can see these rows have been pretty much completely chewed off. There's not a whole lot left, but once we get into the field itself, then it's not so bad. This headland was sprayed with Coragen just like a day ago, so we're not seeing a whole lot of effect on it here yet, but hopefully that Coragen starts working right away. Well, here's a new weed for you this week. This is common groundsel. This is a fairly common weed, although you don't often hear it talked about. It's usually not a terribly big concern. It's not nearly as hard to control in crop as something like, say, this buckwheat. One of my dryland barley fields here, we have a unique trial going on. We are testing out a new herbicide from Syngenta that is currently undergoing PMRA protocols for registration in Canada. So it is a group 27 and 6, and it's looking really good so far. We sprayed half the field with it here, and you can see that group 27 just absolutely smoked a lot of this kochia. There is the odd survivor here and there that did make it through that group 27, but you can see the group 6 is having some activity in here and is slowly taking it down. So this is just over a week after application here. So things are looking really good here. And the other half of the field, we did spray with Infinity as a comparison. Here on the other side of the field where we sprayed Infinity, you can see symptoms are very much the same. Once again, that group 27 did a lot of that immediate kill on some of the susceptible kochia. You can see we have quite a bit of green still left in here. However, it's all very much off color. That group 6 is really starting to do its work in here. This field really shows the benefit of kind of chasing the moisture to a certain degree anyways with canola seed in dry soil conditions. This field here, for the most part, has little to no emergence, maybe 5 to 10%, but you can see pretty much like right here anyways. You can see that patch, that is a little bit of a hilltop there, and that forces the seed drill to basically seed a little bit deeper. And you can see in that spot there is actually pretty good emergence. We do have some nice clear seed rows, whereas the rest of the area, not so much. Thought I'd drive over and check out Kehoe Lake, and it is way down from where it normally is. Normally this would basically be right up to the grass here, and you can see it is quite a ways out. So she is definitely a good, I don't know, 5-6 feet low probably. Here you can see we have some grasshopper feeding on this pea plant here right on the edge of this field against the ditch. There's quite a few chunks taken out of the leaves here. Pulses are not a preferred food source for grasshoppers at all, but when the grass in the ditches is burning off and they got nothing left to eat, they will go for anything that's green. When you're spraying Roundup Ready canola this year, don't forget to throw some crimson in the tank, even at a really low rate. Mixed in with glyphosate, it can really help control some of these weeds here. So this is a TrueFlex canola. We came in here at 0.6 of a liter Roundup with a 120 acre rate per jug of crimson. And you can see this really big prickly lettuce, which was about 16 inches tall, is pretty well affected. Sprayed about a week ago now, and you can see we got a really good kill on that. Here in this pea field, we have some very strange crop circles. It looks a lot like fairy rings in a lawn. I don't see much for above ground symptoms that would explain it. However, you can see that the peas in these spots are severely, not really damaged, but stunted and doing really poor. When you dig them up, you can, first thing you notice in the ground, we have a lot of fungal mycelium in here, which makes me think that this is literally a fairy ring. And when you really look at the roots on these guys, they're basically kind of dry, desiccated. The lower part of the roots here, kind of a little off brown color, really not healthy. So this could be a few different things. You know, could be a fusarium root rot, could be a phanomyces, but being that it's in a circle like this, and that I'm also seeing it in other crops, make me think it is not a phanomyces. It is much more likely to be fusarium root rot, or just whatever fungal mycelium is creating these fairy rings. Here in these lentils, we have pretty much the exact same symptoms as we did in the peas. We once again have a few fairy rings out here, so it's quite interesting. Definitely seems to be fungal. I haven't gotten a good answer yet on exactly which fungal pathogen, but yeah, we'll see what we find out. Well, it's not just in the pulses. Here we have another fairy ring that has shown up in some wheat. There's actually quite a few of them visible from the air with the drone, and looks very similar symptoms. When you dig in the affected area here, you can see the fungal load in the soil is just absolutely huge. This is all mycelium in here, all fungal growth. There's no above ground fruiting bodies or anything like that, no mushrooms or hint of anything on the surface. However, maybe after a rain there will be, but the actual root symptoms almost look like fusarium damage. Like the roots, basically those little hair roots are all completely torched and kind of a light brown color. So very interesting to see. Well, they've been forecasting thunderstorms every night for the last 3-4 days, and the forecast for the weekend looks like potential for thunderstorms. But until now I didn't believe it, but it is starting to look like we might have something forming down to the southwest now. So who knows, maybe we'll get lucky and get something at some point. We'll see. At this point, I'm starting to think they just put thunderstorms in the forecast so that we don't completely give up hope. Well, it's Friday now, and as you can see, I have certainly found the mud. We are raining pretty heavily down here. Just a little bit of a break in the rain here now down by Cardston. The roads are pretty messy in spots. This spot's not too terribly bad. It sounds like around Nobleford, Picture Butte area, there's still no rain at all. Back to Nobleford, and the sun is out, and there's not even a hint of rain here, so unfortunately, no relief for us over here. And that'll be it for this week. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.